Batman the Imposter issue 3. Mattson Tomlin writing, Andrea Sorrentino on the art. And obviously I was looking forward to this as well. This has been excellent thus far. This is the third and final book of the series, and really deals with the effect that the Imposter has on Batman's reputation, the effect that it has both on Batman himself and the detective, who does find out about him. In fact, Ratcatcher has this really dark scene at the start where he grabs the cop's gun and kills himself while he's been interrogated. So it's a really dark scene. And it's kind of like Batman's fault, because Batman scared the shit out of him so much when he interrogated him. But of course, one of the things he says that really catches the detective's eye, or ear, I should say, is like he acted like he didn't know me, which is kind of the first real piece of evidence to her that there is another one. Like there's more than one Batman running out there, and kind of plants that seed and sets us down this path. So really neat, and Bruce gives up the therapy, says, "Hey, you would have turned me in weeks ago at this point. Like, this therapy's over."
And I think that's possibly the most disappointing element of this issue for me, in that it makes complete sense from the narrative perspective as to why he does that, and it gives us an excuse to kind of actually focus in on the plot for the last issue.
Yeah.
But those therapy sessions were the highlight of the previous parts of this book.
I think the ending for me makes it work, because it ties it back into, like, okay, maybe I can't like get much out of this, but that doesn't mean I don't trust you to help other people. It doesn't mean that you don't provide something valuable.
When I say it's the most disappointing aspect for me, I'm not saying it's a negative. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's the right thing for this book. It's just disappointing on a personal level, because that was the bit I was excited for.
Yeah. So there's a great couple of pages where it's like it flips them, but like Batman's on top for 1-2 page layout, and detectives on the bottom, as they're both sort of figuring things out and questioning things. He's looking for the imposter, because he got enough intel to know that he's in the sewers, so he's going looking for him. Some great art, going in there. He finds the hideout, finds some evidence, a weapon with a symbol on it. But where this issue really picked up for me was when the imposter shows up at the hideout, and just the way it's sort of like the bright orange of the brat tat of him like trying to fire the gun, and then the fight that ensues afterwards between them.
Something Sorrentino kills that is having, and I know Belair does the colors on this issue, but I know Sorrentino always sets the color palette that he wants on books, so it's kind of following his template, and this is very much in that Sorrentino style of having these colors highlighted against the dark background. He often does it with like reds and whites, but here it's the yellow. Yeah. It just it pops. It's so great.
Yeah. Even the next 2-page layout where it's they're falling in the water. There's like the coloring like shows you when they're in the water, when they're out the water, when the fight's getting more intense because it turns red. Like there's a flow to it through the choice of colors. Although my favorite part of the art might actually be when the cops show up down the tunnel and you get all the laser sights hitting Batman, and it's the harsh like light of the torches hitting them.
Yeah,
I love all that stuff. And then
I think it's really impressive as well that that Bella can have the light feel so unnatural here. Like it feels like these torchlight, as opposed to all the other the daylight and stuff that we have elsewhere in the issue.
It's high contrast. It's harsh. It cuts to dark shadows very abruptly, and then Batman sets off the flashbang and like makes his move, and he ends up just like he comes it up through a sewer top because he's desperate. He's trapped in a bit of a corner, and he comes out into the city. It's at the middle of like an intersection in a busy city street, and there's just like cars around him. So he's really uncomfortable here because he's surrounded by noise and light. This is not where Batman normally operates. So I love
other people are scared of him as well because well, they all think Batman's a serial killer right now.
And I love the feeling of this page. I really thought it like got this like uncomfortable nature for him, everyone else as well, but him especially. And then he commandeers a vehicle, we'll say, to put it lightly. And like she chases after him. She hears on the police radio where he is, and she's smart enough to go to a rooftop instead of. I'll let me not gloss over the page though of him ziplining above the city with a low angle panel. That looks
so good,
phenomenal. But there's a police helicopter. She shows up and shoots him. Not kills him, obviously, but shoots him. And this is where he takes off his mask and shows her who he is. And of course, they got close last issue. They got romantically involved. There's a tear down her face. And he just kind of pleads, I don't kill people. Batman does not kill people. There's someone else out there. And she's had that seed planted from earlier in the issue. From someone else. There was a source that implied this very thing. So there's just enough of this to like make her doubt what she has to do here. And he says, like, either you're letting me go or you're killing me. Those are the only two things that are going to happen here. And she doesn't kill him. She can't. She doesn't take the shot. Yeah. And that panel of her standing there with the harsh light of the helicopter above her in the next page is really, really good. So very good stuff. This all kind of leads to the idea that Bruce kind of gets like the scent of who it is, and the fact that the cops showed up so quick and knew kind of where they were, it implied that this is probably a cop. And the only character we've really set up enough for it to be is the big guy, the big cop who's a bit more aggressive. It's like, okay, it's probably him.
Probably. That's fine. There's only so much you can do in a short story.
Yeah, I don't think the issue or this series has tried to focus on like the mystery being the compelling part, so I don't think it matters that it's not like a super big bombshell.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. If that was the focus of the story, it would probably matter more.
The focus has always been, how is it affecting Bruce? How is it affecting the reputation of the Batman? Like, those have been the things that have been really focused on. And Batman trying to like sort of prove that he's innocent to certain characters has been more important than who the actual imposter is the whole time. So that's totally fine. And this is where he like says the therapy's done. And you know, like he's like, I have to take out the imposter. If it's the last thing I do, I need to take out the imposter. Because he's ruining everything he's building. So he asks her to show up to the he says the imposter's a cop, like, you know, help me, you know, get the evidence I need. I can't go into police lockup and get it. And he notably takes off his mask to so it's like really him talking to her. But asks her, you know, do you really think I'm not making a difference? The Batman doesn't make a difference. And she really questions herself. There's a great page where she's like, you know, he manipulated Gordon. He's manipulating me. Which I thought was interesting that when she says that he's manipulating me, it's like a panel of them in bed together. And I just sort of, I sort of chuckled to myself because the implication was almost, oh, did he sleep with Gordon too? Is that how he manipulated Gordon? But yeah. Maybe. So, no. Some good stuff here. They meet on a building that's like half, like, you know, there was a fire like a year ago. It's a Wayne building that's currently being done back up, and the imposter shows up, takes a shot at her because it's almost like he senses that she's looking into things now because she's dusting for prints, because she's asking the questions that might lead to him. So we get a bit of a dangling, you know, cliffhanger sequence basically of her dangling off the beam. Again, a lot of great action here, playing with the colors, the negative space, the harsh red of the blood, all that stuff. She ends up saving Batman though, by shooting the guy off the, you know, off. Well, actually, Batman also stabs him in the eye with a batarang.
Yeah, that does do a fair bit of damage.
Which is quite violent. He does go to grab him though. He does want to save him. He's actually holding on to him. And he himself actually like stabs Batman in the hand with the batarang so that it'll lose his grip. So yeah, he made his choice. Like, this is on him that he fell to his death.
He was like, I'd rather die than go to prison for all this.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and she still cuffs Batman, and Batman says, you know, do you really think Batman doesn't make a difference? And the next page is her standing on her own, and the cuffs are on the ground. And the birds are flying, the sun rises. You know, it's all very, very cinematic and poetic and all the rest of it.
Yeah. It gives me a little bit of a hope for the new Batman movie.
I could, same writer, so I could...
No, yeah, that doesn't mean there was a genuine reason there. It's like, oh, okay. He understands the core idea of, don't get me wrong, this is a different take on Batman, but if I could see this as a movie. Like if you were doing a movie of a Batman movie, this would work as a thing. I
also think that I mean, obviously you combine this guy's writing skills with Matt Reeves' direction, and we're hopefully in for a treat. Like, that's basically the
same thing as what we're doing here with Sorrentino's art, right? Is kind of just bringing this home. Like the core idea, the core story, the themes that it's playing with are all solid, and then Sorrentino's just, you know, bringing it home with great storytelling. I'm assuming that's what we're expecting Matt Reeves to do with his direction, is bring it home with hopefully what is a half a decent script as what this was presumably given to Sorrentino.
Yeah, I think what I dig about this ending, right? Because obviously the cop, she survives in the hospital bed, and she's conflicted about everything. And you've got like the final like narration of Leslie Tompkins and all that. But so you have this sort of kind of like downbeat ending for Batman in the sense that he doesn't like have this happy save the day ending. He doesn't like learn this valuable lesson and like tell Leslie that she's right. He actually still left the way he did. But there's just this like olive branch at the end of, you think he's going to like beat the shit out of the ventriloquist, right? Because it sort of treats it very it's intimidating. And he says, "Are you here to kill me?" It's all very dark and moody. But then he shows up at Leslie's door with a note that's just a bat symbol. So he says, "A friend sent me, thinking that you might be able to help me." It's like he's looking out for people and trying to like help them now, and rehabilitate them instead of just they're not all just completely crazy violent assholes that should be beaten to a pulp. And so
it's another non-continuity in this case, but example of maybe there are other places of therapy better than just sending them to Arkham, which allegedly is for rehabilitation and therapy, because it's I said allegedly.
Allegedly. Emphasis on allegedly, yes.
Yes, heavily allegedly. But it's a place everyone kind of knows it's not, and I like the idea of Bruce kind of understanding that at last and like, right, we need to try something different. And in this case, it's Leslie, as opposed to Arkham Tower, which, let's be honest, is probably going to go very badly because it's got a name like Arkham Tower.
Yeah, I'm excited about that though. So
I am as well, but I don't think it's going to be the long-term solution in the same way that sending them to Leslie is.
Yeah, not at all. I think what I like about it is that it's this idea that he's accepting, or at least he's making the statement that, like, I am what I am the Batman, and I am this screwed up. It kind of mirrors, obviously there's no Alfred in this story really, but it kind of mirrors like what the story beats with Alfred usually are, which is Alfred to a point tries to make Bruce better, tries to like fight, and Alfred does succeed over time in a way because he is kind of the heart of Batman, and him being there, that was something we explored when Alfred died in the main continuity, was that with him gone, Batman's a bit harsher because he doesn't have that heart grounding him that Alfred was. And I think this story kind of hits on this idea in a really dramatic way, which is that he's still Batman, he's going to be who he is, but he's opening up to at least one person around him for like, and saying, okay, I understand, I'm going to try and do better. I'm going to try and help and not just create more monsters. And that's kind of the point. And it does tease the Joker, you get a bit of laughter in the cell. At least I thought that's what it was teasing, but it was going to Scarface stuff. Maybe it's just Scarface laughing. It could be.
I think it's just Scarface, yeah.
But it was right after they talked about creating more monsters, so I was just kind of thinking, it feels like, Joker's coming someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like a really nice ending, sending him to Tompkins, and then it shows the kind of like both like the grave sites of everyone, of her parents, the Waynes, and Otis, which was the Ratcatcher who died. So it's the idea that the Ratcatcher's death did have an impact on Bruce as well. That sort of made him realize
he did feel responsible for it, even if he didn't think he was doing it the wrong thing at the time.
Yeah, and I like that. Again, we go back to the colors, but the coloring in that last page at the gravesite is just a little bit more natural and warmer looking than a lot of the rest of the book.
Yeah, especially the flowers. The red and the green. Because there's been a lot of greens and reds in this book in particular, but they've been like kind of like moody greens or like really harsh, vibrant, like dark, deep reds. Whereas this is flowers. It's very natural.
And the sky, isn't this harsh white. It's it's this more natural sort of cream kind of. I know that's what the sky looks like. I'm saying that in the context of the comic art, it's more natural to the eyes. It's more pleasant on the eyes.
Yeah, it's a bit softer.
Yeah. So, no, really, really neat. So, yeah, it does make you feel a little bit more confident about the movie. It does.
It does. Yeah, and. Not that I was particularly worried because it had a good trailer and it's got a good director and a good cast.
It's the idea that you have this really dark story about Batman, but there is kind of ultimately there is a hopeful beat in there at the end that feels really uplifting, because it's like, no, there's a light in the darkness, which is kind of what Batman's supposed to be in a lot of ways.
It feels like, even if this is a different take on Batman, which it is, that's fine. It's a black label. It's supposed to be a different take. That's not my concern. But the point is that this guy understands the core of Batman in a way that can't be said for every writer of the Batman movies.
Yes, yes. And of course, unlike this, there is an Alfred still present in the movie. So, you know, but I do imagine, because I mean, it's definitely a very angry, violent Batman in the trailer. So I'm really excited now to see how they do that in the film.
Yeah, this feels like, not that it's the exact same idea as the movie, but it might play with similar themes, I suspect.
I can see that happening. So yeah, and the art's phenomenal, obviously, as we've been praising throughout. Yeah. We were noting down multiple panels and pages as we were going there. So what are you giving Batman the Imposter issue 3?
I'm going to give this one a 9 as well.
Yeah. I think I will also go 9. I was tempted to go a little bit higher. I think the only reason why I won't is just because, the actual resolution to the mystery, well, it wasn't the focus, so it's not a big deal. It's a bit more just kind of, yes, whatever, it's fine. But, like, so it's just not as immaculately perfect as the rest of the elements are. So.
It's made a great book, though. This will be a fantastic, hardcover. That, if this is one of those books where if you've got someone who's not into comics so much, but they like Batman, especially if they like the darker, more realistic Batman that you see in the movies often, this will be a great gift trade for them.